I did yesterday. Yeah, it's been all received all of us. I did. As much for the dog, but thank you. I mean, I wanted like the big support. Right now I'm tending to so it's building up the ice. So I need to. There you go. Or you put it in a cold water bath for an hour or so. Helps take off the
All right, good morning, everybody. We are going to get started. We have guest missionaries, Ari and David are in town they actually came out to camp with us this last week, so that was a lot of fun hanging out with their children and our children, and it's really hot, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. But they're here. They're going to do a short presentation about their ministry and kind of what they do down at Peru. And then we're going to also hear a lesson from David this morning for the sermon. So they are in Carhuasi, Peru, which is really out in the middle of nowhere in Peru. It takes a very long time to get there. I've been there once, and you get to Lima, and then you just drive into the country for hours, and then eventually you arrive there. You kind of have to like drive on the sides of mountains to get there, and then yeah, they have a wonderful ministry there. Though they have a large hospital that's supported by a German mission, or German. It was originally founded by Germans. And so Ari works there at the hospital, and they have a school that's also associated with that ministry. David teaches at the school. And then, yeah, they have two wonderful children. And without further ado, we'll bring them up. The PowerPoint might be a few minutes before it gets uploaded, but we'll make do with that until then. All right, thanks, Dave.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David. I'm originally from Peru. We are missionaries there. Here is my wonderful wife. We will present what we do in Peru and how it's working there. Thank you for opening the church for us. I think you know my wife and her sister. And this weekend I met a little more of the congregation and the camp. And yeah, we're happy to stay here. And
so we'll just start pretending the presentation's there, and when the pictures pop up, then you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. So the story starts with my family, with my mom and my dad, and there's a picture of my whole family. And so we grew up in Washington State. And the next picture is a picture of Kenai Swanger baptizing me in the Puget Sound. And so when I was 16, I was baptized, and up to that point, my dad had always said, okay, when you guys are 18, you're out of the house, figure out what you're going to do with your lives, because you're not going to live here. You can't watch any TV show or program where anyone older than 18 still lives in the house. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And then at that point, I felt like God put medical missions on my heart, even though I didn't really know a doctor or a missionary other than a gentleman from India that visited the church, and I couldn't understand every time he visited. And so that's kind of where this journey started. And then the next picture is David and his family.
Yeah, when I was 15 years old, I baptized him. I decided to go be a missionary in the jungle, Peru, because there are a lot of needs there. But when I was in the university, I decided to leave the university. I said I will be a missionary because I don't know how I was here, but in the past, you want to be a missionary, only you need to be a preacher or like people who fund a church. I say, Mom, I will leave the university. My mom says, no, continue study, finish your career, and you can be a missionary. Yeah, and I do that. I obey my parents and become a teacher. And next, I go to a mission and in Peru, in the Andes mountain, and I met Ari, and I can serve with my profession there.
So I arrived in Kurawasi. Oh yeah, so you want to go back to the first picture and they can just look at it real fast? Okay, so here's my family. You know my family. There's Alicia. Guess who she is in the picture? She's the one on the far left, on the bottom. Do we have a clicker? Here it comes. Yeah. Okay, so here's me and the Puget Sound getting baptized, David and his family. And did you want to present them? Okay. Here's David and his baptism here. So I went to Kurawasi in 2014. David arrived at the mission to work at the school in 2015. And then 2016, we were married. 2018, we went back to the US because of David's visa, trying to get him access into the US. And then we were going for a year or two. And 4.5 years later, we returned with our two sweet girls, Grace, who just turned 7, and Yedediah, who just turned 5. And so this is the hospital where I work, and it was started by 2 Germans. So this is Klaus and Martinez. So they were studying medicine. They studied in Germany, England, and the United States, and God called them to missions. And so they were serving in Ecuador, and God said, build a hospital for the indigenous Quechua people that kind of run through Ecuador, Bolivia, and Peru. So they prayed about it, and they felt led to start it in Peru, which is known for Machu Picchu. And these are the indigenous Quechua people. So Peru is very much a land of the super rich and the super poor. And like the super rich are mostly in the westernized Lima, and then the super poor are out in the rural areas. And I mean, it's still basic living, and even with the hospital, which has they lack a lot of resources, and because the government healthcare is free, and then the other is they yell at you like you're an idiot, and they treat you like, why are you here? What's wrong with you? David said he hated doctors there. Like he'd go and they wouldn't even touch him or examine him and just give him medicine and say, this is what's wrong with you. And David like, I don't think so.
And they like to celebrate big numbers as the patients, 600. And every morning they have a gospel for all the patients and the family. Listen get the good news.
The hospital staff's a minister that preaches Monday through Friday, and then also is available, ministers to the hospitalized patients. If I have patients, a lot of times I'm giving bad news. Oh, you have this cancer, that cancer, or they've been moved by the message, and then the minister is available all during the day to kind of talk with them and teach them. In the past, they've had a traveling minister that would actually go with the patients and visit them in their villages, help them start churches, or establish with the church if they reached out to the minister. Right now, they don't have one.
Yeah, this is why God put the hospital there for the poor people, the Quechua people, the indigenous people. This is Dr. Klaus. This is the ICU, the patients. It's a wonderful story about this kid.
So the hospital has more technology probably than the majority mission hospital. There's some that have this much technology, but it's still very dependent on miracles. And so like this is a story of a 12-year-old boy that was buried under dirt and rocks, and for about 20 minutes couldn't breathe. They brought him in. to the hospital, had signs of brain death already, but he still had a heartbeat. So they intubated him and put him on the ventilator and kind of tried to support him, but he wasn't getting any better. So they were talking with the family, and the family was saying, okay, let's pull him off life support. And this lady on her knees is Doris. Her statistics, we weren't there during COVID, we were in the States, but was 75% survival rate from really severe cases. This is Milan. He's a 4-year-old. So people say, well, don't they have healthcare there? So their system is like CIS, which is everybody has CIS. It's like a poor people insurance that you have. You can go to the hospital, and like there, it's not like you go to a hospital and they accept your insurance like here. It's like, here's a CIS hospital and here's an S salute. S salute is like you have a job and it's the insurance that comes with your job. And so you can guess which hospital has more medicines and better specialists is the S salute. And then CIS is like everybody that doesn't know anything kind of works there. And they don't always have resources and they're super overloaded. So it's not that they're bad people, it's that you can't see 1 million patients in a day. You're just like, get out of here, go. I've got too many sicker patients. And so it's just a bad system. And so this kid is from Abancay, which is an hour and a half from us. They have a nice, okay hospital, but the hospital had turned his mom away 3 times, and he ended up having bacterial meningitis, which is like you got to treat fast or you're dead. And so basically he came and was practically in a coma by the time he got to our hospital. And here in the middle, or here is Andres Pilau, so the son of Luis Pilau, who had come to present at a conference. And he's praying over this little boy that was in a coma, and he was healed. And so he was walking and running and learning to talk again. And I thought he was going to die. We were praying for him. We have a doctor's meeting every morning talking about the sickest patients, and I thought he was going to die. This is Benjamin, and he's a urologist that has come to the hospital years ago. And Klaus and Martina, who started the hospital and opened the doors in 2007, want to retire next year. We'll see if they succeed. But their plan to be able, part of their strategy is Benjamin's now transitioning into more leadership roles this year.
Yeah, and many people, 100 people come to the hospital because they call the hospital the miracles and say, oh, everybody want to go. Why they don't have more doctors? The director said, well, we are missionary hospital. We can see a specific amount of patients. Yeah.
Because none of the missionaries are paid. All the missionaries work for free. All the Peruvians have salaries, but they're not like competitive salaries. They're just kind of the normal. So this is one of my patients, Fortunato, and I tend to get really complicated medicine patients. And so he had diabetes insipidus, which is different than the normal diabetes. It's like a hormone problem that basically your body can't hold on to water. And so he needed a pill, desmopressin, which he was finally able to get in Argentina from my cousin because there's none in the country where we're at. And he's like, for the first time in a long time, he only woke up once at night to pee, and he wasn't peeing 3 liters like 6-7 times a night.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest donation ever in the history of the hospital. So a German man, Stefan, was driving down the road and he wanted to download a song from Patchwork, which I don't know this band, but the title of the song had to do with I've Seen God. And so he accidentally downloaded Dr. Klaus's first book, I Have Seen God, and was listening to his book, which just talks about, everything we're talking, just the miracle of God's involved and God's supporting this hospital in a very corrupt country. And he was so moved. He's like, I want to donate to this hospital. Well, he forgot about it. And 2 years later, his brother is the chair of radiology in Germany in one of the German hospitals. And he and 2 other scientists have invented a new MRI. So the normal MRI machine uses 1,500 liters of helium, which I didn't realize this. This is why we don't have helium balloons where we live. Most of resource-limited countries don't have access to helium. And so they invented a new MRI that uses less than a liter of helium, and they won a huge prize for this innovation. And they donated the prize money to the hospital, and then Simmons, the company that makes the MRI, tripled it, and we got an MRI machine, so $1 million donation. Brand new MRI machine installed into the hospital. And so like now from Abancay and Cusco, the neurosurgeons and the orthopedic doctors are sending patients because like it still has a price on it because of the electricity it uses, but it's like $150, and then we can still donate it when we need to. And so here's the patients with their MRI machine.
Who
So
pays the bill? Friends and donation, 33%. Missionaries at 20%. The companies, 14%, and the patients, 33%. And now, the missionaries are split in different churches, but you can invite the people to the church because no, we are Catholic or we don't believe in God, we don't want to go to the church. But they make a kids club when they share the gospel of God, and the parents say, "Oh, you can go to this club." And yeah, this is a 4th of July celebration.
So I help in one. So they have these clubs by age group in town and then in some of the surrounding villages. So this is one that me and the girls support. And it was 4th of July, and we're celebrating the U.S. Independence Day. 28th of July is Peruvian Independence Day. And then we're talking about our true independence in Christ. And so we ate hot dogs and watermelon, and they had sparklers. So guys.
Once a year we make a big celebration. The last year was David the shepherd, like the camp we did this week.
We invite all the families, and it's a time where everyone kind of hears the gospel.
And yeah, they have the hospital, but there's another needed there. The education is very bad in the Andes Mountain, and many of the missionaries, they stay a short term because they don't have where they study. And I think Americans have a privilege. They have a homeschool. The Germans, they don't have the type of education. They build the hospital, the school for the kids in the Andes Mountain and the kids missionaries too. And this is the school. And they like to dance a lot. This is one of my classes when they were in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. They graduate 4 years ago, kinda.
When we moved back, so he taught them 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. We left when they were in 7th grade, and then we came back for their 11th grade graduation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the boy who's in the middle next to the teacher, he is Igor. He studied there, and he prepared for be a doctor. He now is in the university. His dad is a taxi driver. His mom is a cleaner in the hospital. And yeah, it was so difficult to enter to the school, the medical school there. And his dad says, "Oh, I want my son will be a surgeon, and he will build a nice house in Cusco. I will leave all the family there. But I don't know what happened with my kid. He wanted to be a doctor, and he went to serve the poor people in the country. So the school is corrupting all the kids there."
So this is what happens a lot that we've seen is you get the kids, and eventually God will get the parents through the kids, but it's the kids who are around this new way of thinking and know Jesus, and then their parents don't understand it at all. So here's Grace in her class, and Jedediah in her class, and so they still respect the culture, and they teach the culture to the kids in their foods. Jedediah had to present. To them, it's super important at 3 years old that these kids present to the whole class and talk in front of the whole class. So she had to present guinea pig as the local food there. Here they're dancing.
This is my class. Now I'm elementary school teacher, but because the school need a math teacher, and I like math too. I teach math and English, and many people says, "Oh, 2 presidents arrived to the hospital. They say, we want to build hospitals and school this around all Peru." But director says, Dr. Klaus says, this is impossible because this is the people who make this possible.
The missionaries who work for free and have this culture and the love of Jesus in them, which It's just lacking in other places. And so there's missionaries that have served there from all over the world. Right now, we're in the minority. We're the only American family, so we're recruiting. We need more English and cool people.
Okay, now they decide to build a radio and television too. It's a miracle story. Well, will be another time to tell about that. There's the inauguration there, and now the gospel can share around the south of Peru, either in Spanish and the Quechua language, who's the indigenous language is the Quechua, who's completely different than Spanish. Now we have a ministry of frisbee there. They continue doing there. Our team is called Blue Fire. Is the purest fire.
And we still use have a time for a devotional message in the middle. So a lot of these kids don't go to church, but then they still hear the gospel.
This is our local church, Iglesia de Cristo. It's made for Adobe. It's the members of the church. This year we work a lot in unity because we have a big generation. We have a lot of adult people and younger people. Things happened in the past. They lost one generation of the church. We try to connect the two generation now. We make a program there, and the kids need to learn the names of the adults. The adults need to learn the names of the kids because they only call you hermano, brother, or hermana, sister. They don't know your name much. This is the members of the church.
So we did a retreat in January, and we rented the kids club because they're building the classrooms at the church, so we didn't have space. So this is my classroom. So when we moved there, it was mostly the average age of the church was 65 and up, and it was Quechua speaking mostly. And there were 2 kids and 1 teacher. So I took over, and I was with the younger kids because I had small kids at the time, and the deacon's wife, one took over the teenagers. And so God just kept adding to the children's ministry. And so we were in the Dove kitchen and in the dining room, but we were praying for more space in something made out of cement, which costs more money. But the nice thing is every time it rains, which is half the year, we're not having to come early Sunday and clean all the mud out of the classroom, just because it all comes in through the roof and everything's muddy all the time. And it's the ground is dirt, this dirt thing that you can't sweep. And so 2 years ago, we received donations for material, and then the church built us 2 classrooms. So this was 3 years old to 11 years old. And here was David's classroom for all the teens. And so you'll see 2 girls here in the middle, Marlene and Ellen. So one thing we really like about the German culture is after high school, they have a year, and their government used to give them a stipend. They could go volunteer. They can go into military, or they can go volunteer anywhere in the year in the world. And they would give them a stipend, which we really like because we see them come in as kids and they leave a year later to start college as adults, and they really mature in that time. So Ellen and Marlene said, we want to support your church. So they've been so nice because they've allowed us to split into 3 classes, but because we got up to 18 kids in this small space for my class. Here's David.
Yeah, and there's no any camp activities for the teenagers, and I start to do something once a month for them, like a food, different. We make a Christmas celebration, and we go climb to the mountain, making special activities, a water time, we make a fire time too, and yeah, the kids are start growing, and with us, we're praying. We are now 3.5 years there, and 3 years we're praying for a baptism there because we didn't see any baptism there, and yeah, now we can see the fruit of the church there. This Nazareth, one of the deacon's daughters, if that's the first time, this Luis, he was in the hospital and he said, I feel very bad, I need to baptize. And he said, you can do it for me. I was so happy because I do it for my first time. And yeah, there was 5 baptisms in the church this year. 3 adults and 2 teenagers.
So baptism is fruit, so it's sign that the church is healthy, and it was very unhealthy when we arrived. And we've just been so encouraged because it was the 5 baptisms, 2 were teenagers, but 3 were Quechua speaking people. So it wasn't us or anything we said. It was the church is now teaching and sharing their faith, and so it's so encouraging. So this last year we received more donations to finish the children's building. So we'll have to show you. We don't agree with everything they do. This is one of the elders up on the roof. No hat, no cables. Here's Victor. So they had pulleyed that cement up to put the roof on one of the levels, and almost it fell and almost killed him. No hat, not our idea. This is how they do things. So here's the celebration, the inauguration. So there is Egidio and Karina, which are one of the deacons, who was one of the lead instructors. So now I have the whole first floor for 3 and 6-year-olds. And here's Ellen and Marlin with the 7 through 11-year-olds. And then David has the best view. I wonder how that happened.
And now this all possible because God came, died for us, and raised for the dead. And God has become visible.
So we see God every day there because we depend on him.
Thank you for your support, for your prayer, and this church here. Thank you.
And we have our prayer cards in the back, so please take one, pray for us, send us an email, come visit us. Yes, I'll bring my person.